Hey guys, sorry I'm so late. Uh, I'm trying to pull everything together. My computer is going so slow, and I don't know. I don't know if anybody else is having internet issues, but it has not been um, very cooperative today. Hello, Marley. How are you, honey? Um, well, that's kind of crazy. It said I had like 7 people, and then it shot me down to 2. So I don't know how many people are even here. But hey, I hope everyone is well. Um, I do have. I was up all night. I don't know for those that that seen. We did a stream last night, and we talked about some things. Basically, because a lot of people couldn't get over on D Live. I am doing pretty well. And then there was a bunch of stuff continued after I got off that kept coming in. And so I made a couple of short videos. I hope you all got to see those videos. Um, and then I wasn't going to do a news stream. I was just going to do Bible and then do news. But there's so much going on that I figure we'll cover these headlines and then we'll do Bible study. Because a lot of this I want to have on everybody's heart and mind so you know what to pray for tonight. I know, isn't that not insane? It's just crazy. And thank you so much, Scan, because Scan helped me with a bunch of these articles, guys. So I really owe a lot to her. She seems to be on it. Hey, JR, how are you, honey? She really seems to be on it, and I got to wear my glasses to read over here, but yeah, okay. So I'll be in and out, but I'm going to try and get these, and we're going to start with the bounty one. Let's see. This is from the Express.k, but there, just so you guys know, there is more than one article, but I've never heard of PJ Media, so I'm going to go with the Express. .com.uk, and it says Iran places an $80 million bounty for Donald Trump's head as World War III tensions rise. Iran has placed a huge bounty on American president's head, the following of General Qasem Soleimani. According to reports, the Iranian general was killed last week after a U.S. drone strike on his convoy at Baghdad airport. A video posted on social media shows huge crowds marching in protest following Soleimani's death, before a male voice can be heard placing a bounty on the U.S. president's head. Thought to be a funeral organizer, he says on behalf of Iran's people, and made 80 million Iranians each puts aside a US dollar, it would equal $80 million. And we would give this 80 million on our own behalf as a gift to anyone who brings the head of the person who ordered the murder of the grand figure of our revolution. Anyone who brings us the head of this yellow-haired lunatic, we would give him 80 million on behalf of the great Iranian nation. Chant if you agree. A huge chants followed the remarks in the video earlier on Sunday. Iranian labor news agency claimed that Iranian MP Abul Fazl Abtarbi warned the country could respond to the general's death on the U.S. soil. He said, "We can attack the White House itself. We can respond to them on the American soil. We have the power, and God willing, we will respond in an appropriate time." Mr. Arbitrabi added that this is a declaration of war, which means if you hesitate, you lose. When someone declares war, do you want to respond to that bullets with flowers? They will shoot you in the head. Thousands of people took to the streets in anger following Soleimani's death after the U.S. airstrike on Friday. Soleimani's body was flown to the city of Hafez in southwest Iran on Sunday following a massive funeral marches in Iraq. Scenes show a casket wrapped in Iranian flag being unloaded from a plane as a military band played while crowds furiously chanted, "Death to America." U.S. President Trump tweeted on Saturday that Iran is talking very boldly about targeting certain USA assets as a fiery rhetoric continued following the attack. Mr. Trump wrote on Twitter, "Iran is talking very boldly about targeting certain USA assets as revenge for our ridding the world of their terrorist leader, who had just killed an American and badly wounded many others, not to mention all the people he had killed over his lifetime, including recently hundreds of Iranian protesters. He was already attacking our embassy and preparing for additional hits in other locations. Iran has been nothing but problems for many years." And thank you, JR. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so obviously they're declared war. There might not be any official from anywhere else, but you heard them say that it is that there's a declaration of war, and that you don't trade bullets for flowers. Anyway, yes, and people need to realize these people have always screamed death to America. That is what they're about. I mean, from their ill beginnings. There was I was reading a lot of stuff this morning, and I have quite a bit put in. There's two things that have that pertain to Trump and Iraq. Two different things. One that covers a bunch of articles from this morning, and then the one for tonight. But there is so much that is going on. And our president faces attacks every single solitary day from, you know, from people from within our own United States. And giving the recent impeachment okay, so let's not use foul language. Okay, I understand that a lot of people, emotions are highs, but let's kind of refrain from vulgarities, okay? Hey, truth be told. Oh, you're not too late. I've only covered just the one story, but in case you missed it, in case you do not know, there is a $80 million bounty out on the president. There is indeed. So, and it's just really sad, guys. So then I've got this article from The Hill that says the Democratic impeachment case collapses under weight of time. It says, as the House of Senate continues their bitter struggle over the coming impeachment trial of President Trump, a judge in the District of Columbia issued an opinion that was largely lost in the crush of New Year's stories. The opinion could loom large in the Senate trial. However, and one line in particular, which states the House clearly has no intention of pursuing the witnesses, may be repeated like a mantra by the Trump defense team. The witness, Charles Kupperman, a deputy to the former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Other than Bolton himself, Kupperman is one of the officials most likely to have direct knowledge of an alleged quid pro quo on aid to Ukraine. After subpoenaing him last fall, the House withdrew its request before the court could rule on the compelling his testimony. For the record, the House also decided not to subpoena Bolton or any other key witnesses in the administration. Judge Richard Leon dismissed the case before the New Year's Eve with a hint of frustration, if not bewilderment, that the House did not seem interested in hearing from possible eyewitnesses. Historically, the lack of attention in not only witnesses but also a triable case will remain one of the most baffling blunders of this impeachment. When I testified in the House Judiciary Committee impeachment hearing, I cited this case in my criticism of the pledge by Democrats to impeach Trump by Christmas, despite a very incomplete record. While I opposed some of the proposed articles of impeachment that were subsequently dropped by the panel, I said Trump could be legitimately impeached on abuse of power and obstruction of justice if the House could establish such violation. But the House has refused to wait just a couple of months to build a much stronger case to remove Trump. In the mad rush to push impeachment, Democrats could not have made it easier for his team. It says securing an impeachment so fast does not earn you a historic prize. It simply earns you a historic failure. By not seeking to compel numerous key witnesses, the House now relies on the Senate to complete its case. Since the House has maintained that the record overwhelmingly proves that Trump is guilty, the Senate could simply try the case on the record supplied by the House. Indeed, the 1999 impeachment of President Clinton, Senate Democrats, including Minority Leader Charles Schumer, fought against any witnesses and sought a summary vote without trial. I was particularly concerned about moving forward by Christmas on the second article of the alleged obstruction of Congress. The House elected to push through impeachment with an abbreviated period of roughly 3 months and declared any delay by Trump, even to seek judicial reviews, to be a high crime and misdemeanor. The administration is currently in court challenging demands for witnesses and documents. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Supreme Court accepted one such case for review, then stayed the lower court decision ordering the production of the tax and finance records of Trump. The House impeached Trump before the court or other federal courts could rule on their merits of claims of the presidential privileges and immunities. Both Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon had been able to take such challenges to the Supreme Court before they faced impeachment. The House refused to seek to compel several witnesses in court, burning months in which it could have secured not just decisions in its favor, but also testimony. Indeed, a year ago, I also testified before the House Judiciary Committee and encouraged it only to hold a vote on impeachment, but to go to court to force testimony of figures like former White House counsel Donald McGahn. While refusing to use its impeachment powers with such a vote, it did take him to court. It won the case shortly before its impeachment vote. The case will be heard by an appellate court this week, even without being expedited for the impeachment investigation. When faced the embarrassing timing of that ruling after the hurried impeachment vote, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff insisted that there was no time to waste in getting the case to the Senate and that it is taking us 8 months to get a lower court ruling to compel McGahn to testify. But after members claimed there was a crime spree in progress and no time to waste, House Speaker Pelosi blocked any submission to the Senate to demand witnesses that the House unwisely omitted in its investigation. So it seems time is no longer of the essence. Schiff also was wrong on McCann. The House waited until August to go to the court to compel him to appear. That was roughly 4 months to secure a ruling, and without proceeding under the impeachment inquiry ordered by the House, which historically places cases on fast track to the Supreme Court. In the Nixon case, it took them 3 months from ruling on the trial court to the final decision of the Supreme Court that ultimately led to his resignation. Even if the House had waited until October to seek to compel witnesses, it could have had ample time to secure rulings or testimony by a springtime impeachment. We will never know because the Democrats chose to do nothing due to the need to get to a trial that they have now delayed. So, which I think there's been no witnesses, and they didn't even subpoena the right witnesses, according to this article. Schiff is not the only Democrat undermining the case for the obstruction article. Representative Eric Swalwell, who seeks to be a House manager at the Senate trial, recently declared that not only should a sitting president be impeached if he goes to courts rather than to submit to Congress, but the contesting demands for evidence is actually evidence of guilt on all charged offenses. If complete denial, the critical concept of the rule of law and due process, Swalwell claimed we can only conclude that you are guilty if someone refuses to give testimony or documents. And the mere fact that there is no crimes or misdemeanors or any other crime listed in the articles of impeachment just goes to show that this is a very biased, and I'm using this word, bias judge. You talk slowly for us. Do I need to, am I going too fast? I'm sorry. I do apologize. But anyway, so basically, he is telling you that there is no case that they improperly pulled together their impeachment sham. And so, if you needed any other evidence to know how crooked and how wrong this was, you can even look in the eyes of Democrat bias in itself. But then we'll go on. So then we also have an article from Fox News that says Graham gives Pelosi an ultimatum, proposes Senate rule change to remove her from the impeachment process. Senator Lindsey Graham, the RSC, which is a Republican from South Carolina, insisted Sunday that if the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi does not deliver the articles of impeachment against President Trump to the Senate by the end of the week, the Senate should take matters in their own hands. Graham accused Pelosi of playing political games and trying to exert control over the Senate trial by keeping it from starting. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, recognized Friday on the Senate floor that the chamber's rules prevented him from doing anything until Pelosi does her part. But Graham proposed a solution that could remove what McConnell has called an impasse in the process. What I would do if she continues to refuse to send the articles as required by the Constitution, I would work with Senator McConnell to change the rules of the Senate so we could start the trial without her. If necessary, Graham proposed on Sunday morning. When asked how long he would wait before taking this step, Graham replied, days, not weeks. Graham justified this by claiming that Pelosi was engaging in a political stunt by holding off on sending the impeachment articles to the Senate weeks after they were approved by the House vote. He said McConnell would not let her dictate how events unfold. Well, we're not going to let Nancy Pelosi use the rules of the Senate to her advantage. This is dangerous to the presidency as in an institution, Graham said. They impeached the president, but the Speaker of the House is holding the articles back, trying to extort from the majority leader of the Senate trial to her liking. They're trying to hold these articles over the head of the president. Graham laid out how he would expect the trial to go, allowing both sides to present arguments before determining whether witnesses were needed. We'll use the Clinton model. When you take the record established in the House, let the House managers appointed by Pelosi make the argument, but let the president make his argument, why the two articles flawed, and then we'll decide whether we want witnesses. But this should be done in a couple of weeks, he said. Graham expressed hope that the Senate could conclude the impeachment trial before the end of January, but reiterated that this may require the Senate to push Pelosi out of the equation. If we don't get the articles this week, then we need to take matters in our own hands and change the rules, deem them to be delivered to the Senate so we can start the trial. Invite the House over to participate if they would like, he said. If they don't come, dismiss the case and get on with governing the country. And I am all for that, guys. Definitely all for that. And then, of course, if you guys did not see my video this morning, Iraqi parliament does call for the expulsion of foreign troops. And this is supposedly a newer article than the one that we read this morning. But it says, Iraq's parliament has passed a resolution calling on the government to expel foreign troops from the country as Iran's U.S. tensions escalate, following the killing of top Iranian military commander and Iraqi armed group leader in the U.S. strike in Baghdad. In an extraordinary parliamentary session on Sunday, Parliament called on the government to end all foreign troop presence in Iraq and to cancel its request for assistance from the U.S.-led coalition, which had been working with Baghdad to fight the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. The government commits to revoke its request for assistance from international coalition fighting Islamic State due to the end of the military operations in Iraq and the achievement of victory. The resolution read, the Iraqi government must work to end the presence of any foreign troops on Iraqi soil and prohibit them from using its land, airspace, or water for any reason. Parliament resolutions, unlike laws, laws are non-binding, and the move would require new legislation to cancel the existing agreement. Ahead of the vote, chants of "No, no, America, long live Iraq" rang inside the hall before Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi also called on the parliament to end foreign troops presence. Despite the internal and external difficulties that we might face, it remains best for Iraq on principle and practicality, said Abdul Mahdi in the address to the parliament ahead of the vote. The embattled prime minister stepped down in November amid months-long mass anti-government protest, but remains in a caretaker position. Iraq has two options, he said, adding that the country can either immediately end the presence of foreign troops on Iraqi soil or reconsider a draft resolution that ties U.S. presence to training Iraqi security forces in the fight against ISIL. Abdul Mahdi said that the decline of ISIL, which Baghdad declared victory over in December 2017, an end to main reason for the presence of the U.S. forces in the country. It is in the interest of both Iraq and U.S. to end foreign troop presence in the country, he said. And I mean, I believe everybody would agree that President Trump did run on bringing home our troops. And of course, every time he tries to bring home our troops, he gets a pushback from the higher ups. Well, not higher up than him, but he gets pushbacks from all the elites there in D.C. Again, he wanted to remove all military personnel in Saudi, but then, of course, he was showed several times by Lindsey Graham and generals of how it was so relevant that we stayed to protect the oil in Iraq. So, I mean, in Saudi, excuse me, not Iraq, in Saudi. And so then, of course, there was this small amount of army that had to go and protect the oil over there, which, again, I am not for by no means. But when you have people overriding you and telling you, oh, no, no, we have to do this, and this is why we have to do this, after he's stepped up and said, we're bringing our boys home, then again, they come back at him. So, looking for Marfugal TV mod. What do we need a Marfugal TV mod? I'm not quite sure. Kevin Fugel Fam is my Fugel Fam, and J.R. Pell. They're all Marfugal Fam. Anyway, so it says around 5,000 U.S. troops remain in Iraq, most of them in an advisory capacity. U.S. troops fought alongside Iran-backed Hashid al-Shabibi Popular Mobilization Forces, or PMF, during 2014 to 2017 against the Islamic State group. Baghdad-based analyst Tariq Harb told Al Jazeera that Abdul Mahdi's call to expel U.S. troops in Iraq was an anticipation of a reaction from the mostly pro-Iran groups which demand such a move. Abdul Mahdi had no option but to take a strong stance against the presence of the U.S. troops in Iraq. Harub told Al Jazeera he's been shrewd in taking this position and leaving the decision to the parliament. And then it says response to the U.S. strikes, a weak response, opposition to the resolution. And so there's a little bit more to it. But as you can see, they have voted to pass a resolution for the expulsion of our troops. And as all of this continues, there are rockets and this is from Al Jazeera, guys, there are rockets that are targets that in Baghdad's green zone that for the second successive night. It says 6 Katayasha rockets fell in Baghdad, including 3 inside the capital's heavily fortified green zone, housing government buildings and foreign missions, the Iraqi military said. The 3 other rockets fell in the nearby Jadira area, the military statement said on Sunday. Police sources said 6 people were wounded in the attacks. Witnesses told the AFP news agency 2 rockets hit near the U.S. Embassy in Iraqi's capital, hours after the ambassador was summoned over the U.S. attack that killed Soleimani on Friday. Sunday's attack was the second night in a row that the green zone was hit, and the 14th time over the last 2 months that the U.S. installations have been targeted. A third rocket simultaneously hit a family home outside the green zone, wounding 4, medical sources told the AFP. So again, they're still bombing and hitting the embassy there, or attempting to hit it. They're hitting the green zone and everything else. I was looking, I don't know if I had it from earlier or where, but I heard that there was 2 Americans that have also been injured. I have not, I don't remember where I saw it though. Again, this here comes from The Hill, and it says Trump says he'll sanction Iraq if U.S. troops are forced to leave. The President Trump said Sunday that the United States would not leave Iraq on friendly terms and threatened to impose sanctions on the country if forced to withdraw American troops. And I want to add the article that I have from this morning where Sadir, he has actually called for the humiliation of our troops. I actually made a separate video just because of that article this morning, which I find rather troubling. It is extremely horrible. We don't leave NATO because our neighborhood fight each other. We use NATO our aims. NATO is necessary for us. Okay. For Turkey to leave NATO, your question, right, Kevin? But Libya is necessary. Okay, so you guys are talking about NATO and Turkey and all that. So anyway, so this morning, of course, I'm still reeling from that comment that they are trying to rally their own Legion, whatever you want to call it, troops, to reactivate them to attack or to come back at the United States troops. To me, I think that the whole situation is bad. I don't know where Trump needs to go on this, guys. But I do know that we need to be praying like never before. And that's why the title this morning also included a call to prayer. Anyway, let's continue with this article. President Trump said Sunday that the United States would not leave Iraq on friendly terms and threatened to impose sanctions on the country if forced to withdraw American troops. If they do ask us to leave, if we don't do it in a very friendly basis, Trump told reporters about Air Force One Sunday afternoon when asked about the vote by Iraq's parliament to end the U.S. troop presence in the country. We will charge them sanctions like they've never seen before, ever. It'll make Iranian sanctions look somewhat tame, Trump continued. If there's any hostility that they do anything we think is inappropriate, we are going to put sanctions on Iraq. Very big sanctions on Iraq. Trump made the remarks to reporters while traveling from Palm Beach, Florida to Washington, D.C. after a 2-week stint at his Mar-a-Lago resort. Earlier Sunday, the Iraqi parliament voted in favor of the resolution calling on the country's government to work toward ending the U.S. troop presence. Thereafter, the U.S. airstrike killed a top Iranian general in the capital of Baghdad. American forces have maintained a presence in Iraq since 2014 as part of the operation targeting the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. The bill is subject to approval by the Iraqi government. Trump also, at one point Sunday, suggested that American forces wouldn't leave Iraq unless the country paid us, the U.S. back, for its expensive airbase there, an apparent reference to the AI Assad airbase. We have a very extraordinarily expensive airbase that's there. It cost billions of dollars to build. Long before my time, Trump said, we're not leaving unless they pay us back for it. The Iraqi parliament voted on Sunday were among a number of developments in the wake of the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani, who commanded Iran's Quds forces. U.S. officials have described the strike as a defensive measure meant to halt planned attacks on Americans. And again, if you have somebody that's attacking your state capital, your embassies, whatever, it's American based, and they're attacking and they continue to attack. They killed an American contractor. You've got to push back. You cannot just play patty cake. What do I feel about the genocide of Albania? I'm I have to really, I haven't been following that much, Kevin. I've read a couple of articles, in reference to it, but I haven't really been following that one, Kevin. So I can't really say. And also another article from Trump warns of disappropriate response if Iran strikes U.S. targets. Please, Trump warned Sunday of disproportionate military response to Iran if it carries out any retaliatory strikes against the U.S. Trump said that these media posts, seemingly referring to his tweets, will serve as a notification to the United States Congress that should Iran strike any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back, and perhaps in a disproportionate manner. Such legal notice is not required, but is given nevertheless, he added in his tweet. Trump ordered the attack that killed top Iranian commander General Qasem Soleimani without briefing top congressional officials, the so-called Gang of Eight, until after the strike. His afternoon tweet followed one from early Sunday morning touting that the U.S. military, he warned that the U.S. would send its brand new beautiful equipment to Iran without hesitation if the nation attacks an American base or person. And on Saturday night, he warned that he would hit them harder than they have ever been hit before, and if they were to attack. Trump's tweet came after a decided last week to kill Soleimani. The decision has been questioned by many Democrats who claim Trump and his administration have not fully answered why the attack was necessary on that day. How many times does he have to say it? They need to take the cotton out of their ears, earplugs, whatever they have in them. I don't know, but I've heard him talk about the attack on the U.S. Embassy. We've heard about the attack on the U.S. Embassy. We also heard about the attack on the embassy itself. We have heard about the death of the American contractor. We have heard about the several attacks that have been taken against U.S. Base. Well, we can't call them U.S. bases, but bases that house U.S. troops over there in that area. That was all strategized from Soleimani. They need to get a grip. How much more do they need? But I guess that it's okay to bomb the American embassy. It's okay to kill Americans. Death to American. Oh, we just love you. Scream death to America some more. Oh, we just love you. Yeah, give me a break. You cannot pull away from Saudi Arabia. They have enormous amounts of money in U.S. banks. Well, I don't know about all that. I just know that, Trump. I'm going to sing it, JR. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, but I get so passionate about all this stuff. It's like, give me a break, You have the proof. You don't continuously need to see the proof. If they're reporting the proof, and obviously the president has told them, they have gotten the documentation. They are just insane. Uh-oh, what happened, Grand Tower? I don't think anybody's erasing your answer, sweetheart. I will tell you this just so that you guys know. The algorithm will take from YouTube. They will sometimes keep your texts. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but if you guys say the wrong thing or trigger it, it sometimes doesn't even appear. Gloria can tell you that even in Bible studies that she has made posts before and hasn't been able to and she would make a post and she wasn't able to see her. So I can tell you that it's not anybody removing your post. If it was removed, it would be in the stream and it would say that it was removed. And usually if it's removed, it's because it was something that was vulgar or a hate speech. But no one here is removing anybody's text. I just want you guys to know that. Okay, so then we have another article from The Hill that says the House of Foreign Affairs panel fires back at Trump in a tweet. You're not a dictator. And I just want to ask the House, who the hell do they think they are? This is like the second time that I have heard them referring to him as a dictator. The only dictatorships and the only person that is on a power trip is the House of Representatives. I mean, give me a break. And that's what this is all about, is because they think that they should have complete control and complete power. And that is exactly what this is about, because they don't have complete control and complete power. But that is what they are aiming for, guys. Make no mistake about it. That is exactly what these Democrats are going for. They are going to try to turn this into a communistic regime country. That is what the Democratic Party is about, and nothing more. Nancy is on a power. Yeah, and Nancy is on a power trip. She is. Anyway, so the House Foreign Affairs Committee slammed President Trump on Sunday after Trump appeared to write that his tweet served as a sufficient notification to the Congress in the event of potentially military strike against Iran. The Democratic-led panel, in a tweet mirroring the language Trump himself used in his message, warned the president that he was not a dictator and that the Congress that had the power to authorize acts of war. This media post will serve as a reminder that war powers reside in the Congress under the United States Constitution, and that you should read the War Powers Act. That you are not a dictator, the committee tweeted. Well, they need to reread it, because it is also in the president's powers. They need to reread the Powers Act, the War Powers Act. I read it. I mean, give me a break. And if any of you haven't read it, I encourage you to read it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so before I get on another rant, we're going to move on from that article. But that article is in the my Wixit account. With Wixit, whatever. Sorry, guys. I get a little upset, and my thoughts start to kind of get, Nancy and her group will give the bad guys a heads up. Oh yeah, they will. She's over there. Her and Carrie, which Carrie should be tried for the Logan Act. They're all over there playing patty cake with the damn terrorist. Oh, let me give you a couple of $1 million and let's take Trump down. Come on, give me a break. And the $80 million is probably coming from all the Democrats' pocketbook. Just saying. Trump says that the U.S. will not leave Iraq until Baghdad pays for the American air base that threatens threatens sanctions. And there is another article that supports the other article from Sputnik News. And that is from Sputnik, guys, the last one. So, and we've already talked about Trump in the Hill saying that he's going to impose sanctions on Iraq. And I'm going to go ahead and activate the phone line. If anybody wants to call in, we had Gloria call in. Gloria can call in. I have a fully charged battery, Gloria, if you want to call in again. And I can have more than one caller on the phone. Let's see.
Code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Please enter your PIN. Thank you. There is one host in this conference.
But I am going to turn it down just a little bit, guys. Computer is glitching bad, guys. It doesn't want to let me give you guys this number for whatever reason. Okay, did it go away? There it is. I'm like, give me a break. There's a massive glitch in the system. So anybody that wants to call in and discuss these articles that I went over with, or discuss the articles that I talked about this morning, please, or has any other information that you want to discuss that we haven't covered, by all means, please call. And hopefully maybe Gloria will call in again. We always have a lovely chat. Yes, exactly. And the acts that she has committed, in my opinion, are treason. All of them have committed as treason. What are you looking into, JR? Oh, I do know what you're looking into. You've been sending me, I think, is if it's the stuff that you've been sending me. Martial law, second month in term. Huh. Okay, guys. Well, I've gotten my rant off. Um, I don't see anyone calling in or hearing anyone calling in. I know sometimes it takes them a minute to get through. And Kevin is doing a great job. He is. And so is everybody here. I mean, there's so many different things that you can go and investigate that is so very vital to everything that is going on. There's just so much going on. I mean, there truly is so much going on. You've got stuff that's transpiring in China. I am trying to buffer over here, but I'm still live, so not quite sure if anyone else is buffering. Yeah, and all this stuff that's going on in Colorado, and the mere fact that they're trying to find missing nuclear weapons, very, very crazy, insane stuff happening everywhere. Yeah. So much, like I said, there's so much stuff. I mean, you could you and to really put your to investigate more than one thing at a time, you do a disjustice to something else. I mean, you can investigate a bunch of stuff at the same time, but if you were to really focus on just one of those things, you would probably it could be very time consuming. I have been investigating a couple of things that are really basically the same, and it's really I've been doing wanting to get all the information I can about the UN, and of course there's other rabbit holes that you go down when you do that, but because there's so much stuff. I hear you. I don't know if I'm buffering where you guys are, but I am buffering here on my other. I've watched all the videos you've sent me, JR. all about everything that you've sent me. I've watched that one. I think if it was you that sent that one was really long. I think I fell asleep on it, but I watched a good bit of it about the Bundy situation. I did. You're not buffering. Okay. Well, it might just be my system over here then. So thank you, MG, for telling me that. Hey, Drain, how are you, honey? Saddam, yeah. Yeah, and I wish we could too. And I know that there is a lot of stuff going on in Virginia, but I also think that we need to somehow go and show our president support and stand against this impeachment crap that they got going on in D.C. And if that means that and you can't get to DC, if nothing else, on the days that they're doing this, go to your state capitol with the sign saying impeach Congress, stop this impeachment sham, anything to show solidarity behind our president. We've got to step up our support for him. We've got to you have everybody out there at a drop of Sorrow's dime, of course, this is. At the drop of Sorrow's dimes, you have everybody out there, standing up and protesting our president at every turn. Saddam was a benefit for Turkey, but harmful for America. But this is just the uncharted territory is putting it lightly. I have never in my entire life have seen or heard, so much pushback for any one president, so much disdain for any one president. I mean, the Republicans might have had their disagreements with Obama. They may have had their disagreements with Bill Clinton and any other Democratic president. But we weren't out there impeaching them because of every executive order that they signed that was an abuse of power. We were not pushing and to have them impeached for every time that they went and threw a drone or had people in immigration caged in jail and everything. We didn't do that to Obama, So why are you trying to do this to Trump when he's just following past administration's examples, in my opinion? Saudi Arabians, not Iraqi. Gloria, you and my mama are so close at age. And she says the exact same thing, Gloria. Oh my goodness. Are you in my mama's head or is my mama in your head? I am telling you, that is the exact same thing you will hear my mother say. That is crazy. Just and true found information. Okay. We will drop the link in there, JR, if you have a link for them. Really is. Well, worse for America. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and everyone can say, that we haven't declared war, but I think they have declared war on us from the article that I read today. And for the mere fact that Sadir has called his legions to come out of, to reenact their legion forces over there to go against the United States troops. I believe that is very alarming, very telling, and that if there's any time in your life that you did not that you did not listen. I hope and pray that you're listening to God's calling. I hope and pray that you are listening to everything that is being, put out there. And that you are preparing, and that you keep your head on a swivel, as they said, that you keep your wits about you, that you are very vigilant, that you know your surroundings. Um, it's very, very important, guys. So important. Um, Let me just real quick see. Now these articles, if I find anything else, will not be in the Wixit yet, but I will put them up. But I always like to go and check because they're so. It seems like on a minute basis here, guys. They're always putting out something new. Um, According to Sputnik News, we have Turkey military contingent deployed to Libya. Erdogan is saying. Um, okay, and then we have another article from Sputnik News, and this one says the Iraqi parliament backs the expulsion of U.S. troops, background, and what to expect next. The dramatic move to expel the U.S. troops followed nearly 2 weeks of violence and escalations, which culminated in the U.S. assassination of a senior Iranian military command on Iraqi soil. Iraqi's parliament was convened for an extraordinary session on Sunday, voting to terminate the operation of the U.S.-led coalition against Daesh and passing a resolution demanding the withdrawal of all foreign military personnel stationed in the country, including an estimated 5,000 U.S. troops. Here's what the move means in practice. U.S. troops were originally withdrawn from Iraq in late 2011 in accordance with the 2008 Status of Force Agreement and Strategic Framework Pact, signed over 8 years after the 2000 U.S. invasion of the country. Prior to the withdrawal, U.S. troops reached 170,000 in 2007. A large contingent of U.S. Marines and some 4,000 to 5,000 private security contractors stayed behind at the massive U.S. embassy in Baghdad, as well as the consulate in the city of Basra, Mosul, Kuruk. U.S. troops began returning to Iraq starting in 2014 after Daesh began capturing wide swaths of northern and western Iraq. Initially, Washington limited its involvement to aerial operations, intelligence gathering, bombing, and the deployment of small numbers of troops and advisors to assist the Iraqi security forces. The Obama administration beefed up troop numbers to hundreds and then several thousands as the conflict continued, with over 5,500 personnel deployed by mid-2016. U.S. troops engaged in multiple operations, although most of the fighting on the ground was left to the Iraq security forces, including the Baghdad allied Shi'i militias, which received support from Iran. Daesh lost all of its Iraqi territories by the end of 2017, and in the early 2018, the U.S. announced plans to reduce troops levels. However, roughly 5,000 U.S. troops have remained in the country ever since, with the formal mission being the training of the Iraqi security forces. Baghdad then began negotiating a new agreement of U.S. forces in Iraq in May 2017. At the time, Prime Minister Ahir al-Baghdadi insisted that no U.S. combat troops would be allowed to stay in the country after Daesh was fully routed. Iraqi Shi'i lawmakers constituting a majority of Iraqis and enjoy a strong presence in Iraqi's legislature, began calling for the accelerated withdrawal of U.S. forces from the country in early 2018. With the Badr organization, part of the powerful Fatah alliance, calling for the U.S. to withdraw as soon as possible because they acted as a magnet for terrorists. Calls for the withdrawal began intensifying in early 2019 as the Shia militias, which played a role in liberating Iraq from Daesh, started warning that if the U.S. tried to impose its presence by force, Iraq too could drive U.S. forces out by force. Following Israeli strikes on Iraq in the summer, of Fatah coalition announced that it considered the U.S. responsible for Tel Aviv's actions and reiterated its call for U.S. troops to withdraw. In October, Iraqi officials voiced annoyance over the U.S. decision to move troops from Syria to Iraq, saying it did not give them this permission. Baghdad's patience with Washington began to run out in late December when, in response to an alleged Shia militia attack on the U.S. military base in Kirkuk, the U.S. launched airstrikes on 5 facilities belonging to Kataib, Hezbollah, or a Baghdad allied Shia militia group across western Iraq and Syria. President Bahram Saleh blasted the U.S. strikes as unacceptable, while a spokesperson for the acting Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi described the U.S. action as a violation of the Iraqi sovereignty and a dangerous escalation that threatens the security of the Iraq and the region. The U.S. drone strike assassination of Soleimani, the Iranian Quad Force commander, who provided vital assistance to Iraqi Shia militias in the campaign against Daesh, proved the final straw, with Prime Minister Mahdi convening an extraordinary session of the parliament on the matter and urging lawmakers to vote in favor of terminating the presence of foreign troops in the country. Finally, on Sunday, after a parliament passed the resolution to kick U.S. troops out of the country, Muqtada al-Sadr, a powerful Shia clerk whose parliamentary alliance holds 54 of the 329 seats in Iraq's legislature, called on militias inside and outside Iraq to create the International Resistance Legions to end American military presence in the country by force if necessary. Pending the Iraqi government's approval of the parliament resolution, the ball will fall in Washington's court. If the U.S. refuses to abide by Baghdad's wishes, its remaining troops in Iraq could become a hostage to the powerful battle-hardened Shia militias, which prove instrumental in Daesh's defeat and which are engaged over President Trump's decision to assassinate Soleimani. So again, there is another reference to that International Resistance Legion that I was speaking of. That Sadr, I guess is how you say his name, is trying to call up against our troops over there. So when I tell you it is of extreme importance that we come together as a nation and pray for our troops and for our world leaders, that they make the right decisions, it is of extreme importance. There is so much going on. I mean, I understand that, our president wants to somehow be paid for the military facility there, but I would say that if that doesn't look like it's going to happen, well, we retreat and we blow it up. We leave them nothing. It's ours, so we destroy it. Well, I'm trying to show the message, Jaded Optimist. There you go. I don't know why it automatically... Oh. I think we were both trying to look at it. Okay. No attack anywhere. Yeah, and it is sad, preacher. It truly is sad. And we just never know. No, we don't. And that is it's extremely sad and alarming to hear all of this stuff taking place. But I do say that if Trump wanted to bring the troops home, that this would be the time to do it, even though I don't think that we should back down from anything, but maybe he needs to put them somewhere else. Um, oh, is someone wanting to call in? Your phone is acting up. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that, hey, they don't want to pay us for our installations over there after we, have stayed at their request. We've done everything possible to help them out. I would say blow up this facility. Okay, Grand Tower, thank you. Have a blessed day. And we do all need to be excited. Exactly, preacher. One use service member, two contractors. Yeah, okay, here. And this is it. Okay, guys. I remember I told you earlier that I will, and these last two articles, any article that I add, I do add to the lineup and the Wixit thing, guys. But here is the article, and it's from RT, and I knew I'd seen it. It says, one U.S. service member, two contractors killed in the Al-Shabaab attack in Kenya. Two DoD personnel injured. The U.S. military's Africa Command has confirmed that one serviceman and two contractors were killed on Sunday when the jihadist militia group Al-Shabaab attacked a military base in Kenya. The injured are in stable condition and are being evacuated at the moment. The statement said Camp Simba, which hosts the U.S. and local troops, came under attack on Sunday morning. The naval base is located in Manda Bay in Lamu County on Kenya's coast bordering Somalia. And there's a couple of, there is a U.S. AFRICOM con- uh, comment released, and there's two of them. It says, our thoughts and prayers are with the families and the friends of our teammates who lost their lives today. U.S. Army General Stephen Townsend said in a statement, the general promised to pursue those responsible for the attack and prevent al-Shabaab jihadists from creating a safe haven in Africa. The attack on the military base included indirect and small arms fire. Though the jihadists made it through the perimeter, they were repelled by forces with the base. 6 contractor aircraft vehicles were damaged to some degree in the attack. Established in 2004, Camp Simba is used by the U.S. to train Kenya and naval units and is believed to play an important role in the American operations in Somalia and Yemen, including drone strikes. Kenya troops participated in the African Union mission in Somalia, which is aimed at supporting the Somalian government in its fight against Al-Shabaab, a jihadist group based in East Africa. In a recent attack, the militant group ambushed a bus in December and killed 11 people, including 7 police officers. The U.S. government designated Al-Shabaab a foreign terrorist organization in 2008. And that is kind of a follow-up of this morning. And if you remember this morning, they were reporting that only at that time that there was the 4 terrorists that had been killed. Well, now we have an update. 6 hours. This was 6 hours ago that they updated this, and apparently there has been 1 U.S. service member and 2 contractors killed in that Al-Shabaab attack in Kenya, and 2 DoD personnel's injured. So it appears that we rush with the first news that's reported, and it was good news, no casualties, nothing to that nature. But then we find out later that there was, and that just saddens my heart, guys. And it is crazy. It is. And my big thing is, um, I always tell everybody, regardless if you are a pre-trib, post-trib, whatever part of the rapture that you believe that will transpire, that we should all be ready, um, in every season, that we should be ready, no matter, no one knows, no, and that is the key thing. No one knows what tomorrow will bring. No one is promised tomorrow. So therefore, you should always be ready at all times. Just be ready in all seasons. That's it. Be ready no matter what. Do not waver. Stay, build up that relationship, strengthen it in the Word of God. Stay focused and be ready. It doesn't matter, when he returns, you just be ready for him. The Iraqi parliament calls for expulsion. We already know that. Yes, and everyone, that is very wise words, JR. And everyone has to keep a cool head at all times, and that is it. And that's why it's so important to be, grounded in God's word, guys. Um, because we've got to ask Him to help us to refrain from ourselves sometimes, because, a tongue is a powerful thing, and sometimes we'll say something that we don't mean, um, and thinking that we're saying something else. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Um, we're thinking of one thing, but we say something else, and 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 we could say the right thing and somebody misinterpret it. So it is a very, trying time that we are in. And like I said, we need to really focus on our relationship and building up of, of that. And, remember, there is only one way to heaven, and that is through our Savior Yeshua, and that is it. And we must never deny him, because if we deny him, he will deny us. I will agree with you, Lisa Jones. We have started it on, you need some pizza, Ferris Bueller.
I'm hungry now.
Okay,
Give me something to eat.
I sure will. I sure will.
I have your phone.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. No, not my phone. You can have this.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for right now. I am going to come back in about 10 minutes. I've got to, get me something to drink, and, my little one wants a bowl of cereal. So, if you guys will, give me about 10 minutes. Well, we'll say 15 minutes. At 10 o'clock, I will start my Bible study. And we're just going to pray tonight. I feel the need, I feel truly the need to just pray. So for all those that, will, if you would, please join me, for a call to prayer. And, oh, okay. All right, JR. Thank you, and God bless you, brother. And let's just make this a night of prayer. And I'm not going to put a time limit on it. It's going to be however the Holy Spirit moves us. But give me about 10-15 minutes, and we are going to, pray for the situation, because there is so much going on, and I really just feel that the need of just prayer, just simple prayer. And we will have regular Bible study tomorrow night. So, God bless each and every one of you. Again, I do hope that you guys will come back in about, 10-15 minutes. At 10 o'clock, we will have prayer. And we're going to pray for the situation at hand. and just pray for wisdom and all that. So if anyone needs any prayer, come and leave it in the chat. We'll pray over it. But we are going to, awesome, JC. I don't know why people are having such a hard time getting back in my stream. But in 10 minutes, like I said, we'll have prayer. So God bless each and every one of you. We will see you in a few. And again, if there's any more news to bring to you, you know, I'm your gal. I love y'all. We'll see you in a few. Bye.